Everyone wants to eat cake, but nobody wants to get fat. And when it comes to our money, we all want the biggest slice possible. Well, I'm going to tell you the two words that the wealthy use to get their piece. The great philosopher Seneca had a saying, and it went something like, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. And I think we all know that person who's unfocused, scatterbrained, kind of all over the place. And this translates, of course, to everything in their life, their work, their relationships, and certainly their finances. And that's one place where you don't want to be everywhere. You want to be very focused. When I started my financial journey into wanting to, make $1 million, become a millionaire and live a certain lifestyle, I found that that was a trait that many of these millionaires I interviewed had. They were all extremely focused. But another trait they had was the ability to solve problems. And those are the two words we're going to talk about right now. All of these millionaires, most of them had their own businesses, and they were pretty high up in what they did. And when I sat down with them and kind of discussed what they did and looked at it on a larger scale, I saw that they were solving a problem. Sometimes they didn't even see that they were solving a problem, but then they said, oh yeah, I guess I am kind of solving a problem. And when I look at different walks of life, whether it be a plumber, a hairdresser, a garbage man, they're all solving big problems when you think about it. Just a couple of weeks ago here at the house, I had a little catastrophe. I was using the kitchen sink and I turned it on, and literally I heard water gushing from underneath the sink. I opened the doors and lo and behold, there is a leak under the sink that needs to be fixed. Now, most people, the first thing they're going to do is call a plumber to fix this leak. I fortunately didn't have to call a plumber. I've owned many businesses in my life and I was able to fix it myself. I literally did some dismantling, put it back together, found the problem, and fixed the leak. However, you're going to probably call a plumber and you're going to hopefully call a competent one. If he is good, he's literally going to get to the bottom of that problem right away, and you're going to pay him for his services. Now, I always say, to the degree that someone is good at solving problems is the degree that they will get paid. Right? They will make more money for solving a more difficult and harder problem, or if it's a rarer field that they're solving a problem in, or if it's a bigger problem. My mom is a hairdresser to this day, and literally countless times she's told me stories of people who came in with a botched haircut or a bad color, and now here she is having to fix the problem. Someone colored their hair, they did a terrible job, and they have to have it repaired. It's their wedding day. So she's been put under the gun, and there's a problem that needs to be solved. So there she is, and to come in and save the day. Now, trash pickup, the way I see it, is a problem being solved for me as well. I mean, we make trash at the house. We make trash at the office. We make trash at our place of businesses. All of us do that. And the one thing I don't want is the problem of that trash building up. I know if it builds up, there's going to be animals come around at night, and there's going to be messes, and there's just not going to be good. So I want that trash picked up. So we have a service, and they come, and weekly or monthly they come in and they empty the dumpsters and they clean the trash. So the trash company is solving a problem, and maybe it seems like a small problem because we're not really paying attention to it because it's just getting handled all the time, but it could be a big problem. Now, to the degree that the trash company solves that problem, they could be doing it on a small level and just doing a small community, or they could be a huge company like those junk removal companies that are doing it nationwide. They're solving a bigger problem, so obviously they're making more money. Another way of solving a bigger problem is a plumber solves a plumbing leak, but a heart surgeon might solve a heart valve leak. You may go to a doctor and he may say, look, you need a stent, you have a little leak, you have a problem with your heart, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to operate and I'm going to fix that. And obviously he is solving a much larger problem, and it's a bigger ticket item, and he's going to get paid excessively well for it. So you have the plumber that can fix the plumbing problem at home, and you have the doctor that can fix the plumbing problem inside you, in your home. So obviously, to the degree that that plumbing problem can be fixed, you're going to get paid. When I was about 17, I lived in Southern California. I was out there to go to school, and I had this great job. It was sort of a dream job if you were a 17-year-old kid like me and into cars and motorcycles. And I answered an ad working for a gentleman who had a job detailing high-end and exotic cars. And I absolutely loved it. To say it was a dream job is an understatement. I had so much fun doing that job. And of course, we had all these, great accounts, or he had all these great accounts, and we would go to country clubs and golf clubs and tennis clubs, and we would go to the homes of collectors and work on their private collection. And he did a small car museum. And it was just, it was amazing and an amazing experience, and kind of, started my love for exotics, which goes on to this day. And one day we were working in this particular collection by this gentleman. One day we were working on this particular collection by this gentleman, and I just stopped and asked him, I said, how have you done all this? Because he had several crews running, and I was lucky enough to be working with his crew, which was, with the owner, and it was mostly just him and I. And I said, you have all these big accounts, you're working on, millions of dollars of vehicles, and this is just so much fun and it's outstanding. How did you get here? And he said, well, I worked at a car wash. And I said, a car wash, like a car wash, you drive your car through a car wash and someone dries it with a towel on the other side. And he said, exactly. Like, I was the guy with the rag. Literally, his is a rags to riches story. And he said one day he asked his boss, why that, being in Southern California, every once in a while they would see a Ferrari or a Maserati or a Rolls Royce drive by, and here he was, hand drying a minivan. And he goes, how come none of those cars ever come over here? And the owner said, well, I think that they don't really feel comfortable with a $10 car wash. I think they think a car wash should cost more money. And they're also looking to get more. So, what we offer here is a typical car wash, and, we do most of the regular cars and the working class folk, but, a lot of the super wealthy who are driving those exotics probably aren't comfortable bringing them here. And he began to think about that. So he went home and he asked his dad if he could borrow the station wagon on the weekends. And he went out and bought a few supplies, including having some business cards made that said the name of his detail company. And then he went around to those high-end places and literally started dropping cards on bulletin boards and making flyers and putting them right on cars in high-end neighborhoods like Beverly Hills. Lo and behold, his phone rings. And it's a gentleman who says, hey, I've got a couple cars, and if you could come to my home, my car and my wife's cars will be in the garage, and I'd love to have them detailed. And he said, no problem. So he goes by, and of course he does a great job. And that gentleman recommends him for another job with another one of his friends. He says, I have a buddy who's got a couple more cars than I have, but you did such a great job with our cars, I'd love to refer you to him. Obviously, one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, the country club calls him up and says, hey, we've got an event happening over here, and we would love for you to come in and detail the cars during that event. While the guys are on the green playing, we want to offer them the service of having their cars detailed. And he said, no problem. So over the years, he just began picking up big accounts. But what I realized is he was solving a problem. See, these people want convenience. They want to be catered to. They want high-end luxury service, and they're okay paying for it. And if you're willing to bring it to them, then they're willing to pay even more, because you're offering them it in a very convenient way, meaning you're going to go to their home, their workplace, their private garage, wherever, and you're going to get it done on their schedule that's convenient for them. So he was literally filling a hole and providing a solution that otherwise may have not been there. And to the degree that he solved this problem, he has made a lot of money, because today he has a lot of accounts and he does very well. This has evolved for him into a multi-million-dollar, six-figure plus business. One thing you can do to start is look around in your world at what problems you think need solving. Maybe there's something you're already good at. Maybe there's a skill you already have. Maybe there's something you want to do. But when you look around, you're going to find holes. You're going to find voids, either in a service that already exists that maybe could be done better, or maybe a service that you could just begin that no one else is doing, and literally solve a problem. And remember, to the degree that you can solve a problem, that's the degree that you are going to create wealth for yourself. So look around the world and start to see where you can solve problems. My name is Daniel Francesco Margasa, and you are watching The Almost Criminal Millionaire. If you enjoy learning about saving, investing, and having a more prosperous financial future, then this is the channel for you. Please like and subscribe for more.